One mistake that I see often with musicians and keyboard players when it comes to learning a song by ear is that they try to learn everything all at once. The first thing that their mind may go to is, hey, what's that inversion? Or hey, what's that lick? Or what's that run that I just heard them do? And then, not even 10 seconds into hearing the song, they're already completely confused and lost, and then focusing on the wrong things. Today, my goal is to show you my personal process when it comes to learning new material by ear. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Hello and welcome. My name is Freddie Banks. Welcome back to another Keys Lab session here at the Keys Collective, hosted by yours truly. And today we're going to talk about my personal process when it comes to learning new music. And it could be for any reason. Maybe it's a gig, maybe it's a church service, maybe maybe you want to work on a YouTube cover or a YouTube tutorial. Whatever the case may be, there is a method to the madness. Now, those who are working musicians and established working musicians, rather, it's no secret and it's no strange thing to have to learn songs on the fly. But there's a way to do it more adequately and practically than a lot of keyboard players may do. So the first thing that happens in my process happens way before I even touch a key. And it's this one simple direction. I listen. I listen attentively. The first thing you should always do is listen. So if a song, let's say, is 5 minutes long, you should take 10 minutes and listen to it at least twice. You want to understand, okay, first of all, what key is the song in? What's the flow of the song? Is there a theme to the song? Do any chord progressions repeat themselves from the verse to the chorus or to another section of the song? Those are things that you want to focus in on before you try to dig in and play right when the song is starting. That's a process that I usually call chasing the song, when musicians will sit down and as soon as they hit play, they literally try to play along with the song in real time, even despite the fact that they may not have ever heard this song before in their life. I find that to be counterproductive because a lot of times it can cause the musician to focus on the wrong things at the wrong time. For instance, if you're listening to some, maybe some jazz fusion or even some gospel where a lot of those chords and parts and riffs are really complicated, it's easy to get distracted trying to learn that cool riff, trying to learn that cool chord. And before you know it, you spent 25 minutes just trying to find out how to play that lick and that run, and the rest of the song is still a mystery. So the first thing we want to do is sit down and listen. Get an understanding, understand the rhythm, understand the feel, anticipate and create a map of the song so you know what direction you truly want to go in. So the main thing that I'm trying to listen for in my process is the structure, the bass movement or the bass line, the harmony, the melody, and the rhythm. I don't necessarily have to know what all those things are just yet. I'm just trying to become aware of them. Stick with me. We're going to go a little bit further. The next step that I do is I try to find home. Okay, well, what key is the song in? For instance, if you just hear me play something like this, okay, doesn't give me much. There's no resolve. Where are we going from here? But if I give it full context, okay, I heard a 4, 5, and 1, which means that the 1 is right here in C major. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, what key or what scale is this song really based on? Is it major or is it minor? That's one of the most crucial things to do when you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I flow in learning this song? It may sound basic in nature, but what you're doing is you're trying to make sure that you're listening attentively instead of impulsively trying to play in real time for a song that may be brand new to you. And then you don't have to waste time practicing the wrong things. I'm not necessarily trying to learn every chord just yet. The next step is to follow the bass line. Easy enough, right? So, because a lot of times, one of the biggest clues as to what is happening throughout the arrangement of a song is oftentimes what's sitting underneath the chords or everything else in the song, and that is the bass line. If I can start identifying the bass movement and the bass line in relation to the key that the song is in, that gives me an understanding of everything else that is to come with playing this song. Before I even worry about if this chord is major, if it's minor, is it a seventh, is it a nine, or is it an add two, or whatever you want to focus it on, or whatever you want to call it, the bass is really telling the story. For instance, if I go here and I just play, and remember, we were in the key of C, right? So this means that the bass line is going to be playing a 1, a 5, a 6, and a 4. And because I understand the number system very well for the key of C, I'm already knowing that the 1 is going to be major, the 5, and then 6, and then the 4, and then we're back home, back at the 1, right? So that doesn't mean I know the full song yet, but I know the structure of it, or what I like to call the skeleton of it. We're just dealing with the bare structure of it. We don't have a body, we don't have skin, we don't have muscles, and we don't have the swag or the fancy stuff to decorate it just yet. We're just dealing with the blueprint of the song. Before you try to add all the fancy bells and whistles and tricks and licks to the song, get the skeleton all together first. Get a framework of what you're doing. That's going to make a huge difference. But now, because I know the relationship of the chords to the bass note, and I understand the number system, I can then take that same understanding and pretty much play this song in any key. For instance, I can take that same understanding to the key of G. And then back to the 1. So, again, same concept in a different key, so on and so forth, right? Now, I touched on this a little bit before, but the next step is to pretty much get the numbers down before adding the fancy voicings. Because here's the thing. You don't want to think about it in real time like, okay, let's play a C major, a G major, an A minor, or F major. If you understand the numbers pretty well, you can just call out those numbers. And it will save you so much time and energy and brain power, if we're going to be honest, because you understand just by calling out a certain number, the relationship of that chord to the key that you're in, and you automatically know if it's major or minor without you even having to say it. And I don't have to be trapped in a certain key to understand that. Because if I go from the key of C to, let's say, maybe A flat, I don't want to have to think in real time about, oh, this is an A flat major, that's the 1. This is an E flat major, that's the 5. This is the F minor, that's the 6. A D flat major, that is the 4. Okay, just say 1, 5, 6, 4. Straight to the point. It's the same relationship in any key that you want to apply that into. Playing by ear becomes much easier when you understand and start hearing relationship instead of isolated chord names. Now, here is where a lot of keyboard players get themselves in trouble, because they avoid doing the skeleton part that we talked about before, and this is what they do. They hear somebody playing an amazing chord voicing, an amazing run, a fiery lick, and then some crazy chord progression, and they think, oh, snap, I gotta know that. So a lot of times what happens is they'll get stuck in one particular part of the song much longer than they need to, because they're zeroing in on this lick or this chop or this run, and then the rest of the song is still a mystery. That's not the most productive way to do it. That's not to say you shouldn't learn it, but that's not the focal point. You want to build the skeleton first before you decorate it, because now they have that run and that lick, they have that down pat, but they still don't know the context of the actual song. So again, back to our example of that 1, 5, 6, 4. So you want to understand the basic things first. The fancy things should decorate the skeleton and not the other way around. It should decorate the song. It shouldn't become the actual song itself. You want to have substance behind what you play, because I can play a basic chord progression, but then once I understand that progression pretty well or exceptionally well, I can then embellish or decorate that skeleton. So I can then decorate and embellish, so I can decorate that skeleton. So you get the idea. Now that I understand it, I can build upon it. But the foundation has to be there. And then the next thing you want to do, which leads me to the next step. And that is to listen for the details. And then you can take that boring or simple chord progression, and then you can add all the embellishment that you want to make some life come together in what you're playing. Maybe you want to hear a different inversion of that chord. Maybe you want to hear, maybe an added second or a ninth or a seventh in that chord to make it more tailored to your personal taste. You can do that now because you have a clear roadmap of the song and you know what you're doing intentively and not just winging it on the fly. At that point, you can add passing chords, you can add grace notes, and so many other things that make you stand out when you play the song and you have a definitive voice and people can recognize when you're playing the song. So then, like we said, let's recap. We listen for the bass notes, we add the numbers in to build a relationship, and we build that skeleton, and then we can add the stylistic vocabulary to it, and then you can understand exactly what you're doing. And then you can tell yourself, I earned my way here by understanding what's underneath first. At some point, since you are human, what you may have thought you heard when you listen to that certain chord progression or whatever song it is, you have to at some point test what you thought you heard or test what you thought you came up with in your understanding. Maybe you're the type of musician that likes to write out notes, or you like to chart out things on maybe a notebook or even an iPad, which is totally fine. We have apps for that nowadays on whatever platform you use, Android, iPhone, iPad, Mac. Part of playing by ear is testing what you understand or what you may think you understand. So then you won't be surprised when you get to a moment where you say, that doesn't sound right. Maybe that's not really a 4. Maybe that is a 6 there. Maybe that's a diminished 7 passing chord. And maybe I didn't really factor that in the way I thought I did. No problem. That's a part of the process of practicing and learning and then sharpening your ear. That's not failure. You're just doing some real-time ear training. You're making a musical hypothesis and you're testing it and then finding out where you need to adjust. That makes you a wiser player. So now let's put this all into perspective and recap. Number 1, the first thing we're going to do is listen and listen attentively. Secondly, we're going to follow the bass line. We're going to learn the numbers and chord progressions that go along with those numbers. We're going to identify the relationship with them. We're going to build the skeleton, which is the basic framework of the song, without any riffs, without any crazy chops or anything like that. Let's just get a basic understanding. And when we get that understanding, then we can add our own personal taste to it, our own personal swag to it, and then we can listen back again and correct ourselves. When you piece all that together, you have a successful regime in learning new material. Eventually, the more you do this, the less consciously you have to walk through every single step, and it becomes a second nature. You'll start recognizing certain movements and certain characteristics of the song. You'll know how to anticipate chord progressions based upon your experience with other songs that came before the one that you're learning. Not only that, but that's when playing by ear becomes less about guessing and just shooting in the dark and more about coming to an understanding and speaking a language that you have become familiar with. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick a song that you have not learned before, that you've never heard, and I want you to take some time to really sit down and study it. Don't pull up a chart. Don't Google, a cheat sheet or sheet music or anything like that. Just sit down and do exactly what we said. Listen first, and then go through that entire process of what we described in this video today. And I want you to drop a comment and let me know what part of the process trips you up the most. How did you overcome it? Or what are some tips that I may have missed that you can share with the community here? Give yourself 15 minutes to listen, find the key of the song, listen to the bass, learn your roadmap by mapping out the numbers to that song, build that relationship to build your skeleton, and then add all the fancy stuff after you have played through the most simplest version of the song. And remember, the goal isn't to hear everything perfectly the first time. Listen, simplify, understand, and then build. If you're watching this video and you've come to the end, I want to let you know that this concept was available first to my community called the Keys Collective. It's a space where keyboard players and pianists can come together as a unit or as a collective to develop their musicianship and learn from each other in a supportive and creative environment. It's free to join, and there's multiple options for you if you're interested in coaching sessions. The link to that is in the description below. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.